Good morning and welcome to Today in L.A. My name is Mike Amos. His name is Bill Rice Jr. as we start a Tuesday on our show. Tuesday, the week before, the week of Troy Fest. And of course, we'll be talking a lot about the big event. Of course, it goes right straight up with the homecoming at Troy University, our appreciation. Appreciation. Those are the two big times of the year for Troy, Alabama, and we're going to try to make the most of it.
You know, aren't we getting close to prom season as well?
Oh yeah, it is prom season. And it's
man, I bet those seniors, they've got senioritis. They can feel graduation coming. That I would say that probably from spring break to when I graduated, which was May 23rd, that was kind of the funnest period of my life, I think. When I was a senior in high school.
And you didn't care about anything. You didn't care.
I was big man on campus and top dog, and your seniors. You had beach trips coming up. I went to a senior cruise to the Bahamas. You had graduation gifts coming in. Man, that was fun.
It was. I bet
a lot of people like college and stuff in college, but I liked it.
And when they sing the alma mater, I will sing alone. But a voice deep down inside me, he sings a wedding song. Cap and gowns, you look so beautiful in your cap and gowns. Ba 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 ba.
Awesome. You sound like Phil Kelly over there.
Did I sound like Phil Kelly? I'd love to. Yeah.
You started off sounding like Phil, but
I'm just trying to put a little life in your household this morning, and people are running around saying, "Golly, Mike Amos thinks he can sing." Wait a minute, Mike Amos thinks he can sing.
Well, we sang the alma mater all the time because you had all.
Have you ever heard that song?
You had class day and awards day and all that stuff, and so it would be Henderson High,
alma mater, although the hell.
Hey,
I know that song. I really know it by heart. Everybody does that went to Charles Henderson. Isn't that a great thing, though?
Let's
I mean, I don't care when
somebody can tell us out in the audience.
Yeah, somebody call in and sing the alma mater.
Wife, for some reason, wanted to know when Troy High School opened. I know that it was about 1960 Troy High School became Charles Henderson High School.
That's right.
But when did the first public school for the city of Troy open, which was Troy High School? I would say it was approximately 1919, 1920.
Well, I really couldn't tell you about that. But I'm sure it was the first high school.
How old is our high school, in other words? I think it's a good question. I can tell you, I think my grandfather and Tip Colley, they were at Troy High School in the early 20s. Yeah. Played football. They had a football team.
But I'm wondering if
the school had not been open that long. I don't
I know, Tip's daddy, our grandpa Colley, came down from Evergreen, to establish the children's home.
They moved the children's home from Evergreen to Troy.
That's right, and then of course we'd have to have Raymond on our show one day to tell us more about the history. But
no, I'm going back. But you're right. They moved the children's home, I want to say, in the 20s, early 20s. Mr. Mall came to Troy.
Mall, yeah.
I remember reading some stories about how long he was at Troy High School. So if he was at Troy High School, there was a Troy High School. The building was on Elm Street Road and was torn down to make the Troy Public Library.
Yeah. Well, let's get around to some things locally that are happening, and of course one of them is Troy Fest, the annual Gene Lake memorial to Gene Lake, the great artist that came through here in Troy and established Troy not as a sports town but a artsy town. And,
I would like to have a guest.
People are much more conscious of the arts in Troy than most other places.
The life of Gene Lake. Do you know much about her?
Yes, I know a pretty good bit about her.
Did you know her?
Yeah, I knew. Yeah, I knew her. Yes, a lovely lady, and she was Now I even go as far back as her mother. Her mother worked at Rosenberg's for years in the, back when Rosenberg's was one of the top stores in the country over
there. Sure was.
And and of course Gene Lake was married to Trigger Lake.
What a great name.
And he played football at Troy University or Troy State back then. And Trigger Lake, one of Trigger Lake's best friends was Chase Riddle.
Wow.
And Betty and Chase and Gene Lake were
good friends.
Yeah, good friends. And there was and I can mention them, but there was a great group growing up or living in Troy back in those days. Bill Sanford and Johnny Crease and Bill Wilkes, and we could go on and on talking about these young couples of the 40s, and that's right, of the 40s and the early 50s in Troy, Alabama.
That was Johnny Crease was a sophomore when Bobby Marlowe was a senior, so he played on that great 48 or 49 team. He wasn't the upperclassman.
Yeah.
I did a story on Bobby Marlowe once, and one of my interview sources was Johnny Crease.
Oh yeah. And I can tell you a lot of stories about Bobby Marlowe.
But I'm just going back to that era. That made me think of like the 40s and the 50s. That's the era you're talking about.
Yeah. All right, Brent, call in and tell us what's going on at the university this weekend. Of course, the main topic is the annual Troy University's spring football game. It's going to be 4 o'clock this Saturday afternoon, and of course, prior to that, we've got
all kind of events.
A group of celebrities coming in here, or what I call celebrities. Chan Galey is one of them. Heck, did he make a name for himself?
You can make an argument that he's the most famous person to have ever lived in Troy.
We'll get Mike Amos, our expert, to call, give us some information on Chan, where all he's been.
Well, let me ask you this question. Poll the people of the United States and say, have you heard this name or do you know this person?
Yeah. More than anybody else that's come from Pike County, Chan Galey.
Probably, or DeMarcus Ware. Sports fans would know DeMarcus Ware, but he just lived here briefly. Chan Galey had a house here and lived here.
He owned. Hey, listen. I was building a house. Rice, where did that come from? What movie?
You're Unforgiven.
Unforgiven. The guy had already shot him one time, and he had his gun down on his throat. And he told old Clint Eastwood, who was fixing to blow his brains out. I reckon that's not a good way to be it. But he said that
he told him he was building a house.
He said, I was building a house, and bam, he didn't care whether he was building a house or not.
That's the way life is. You got all these plans and something that's so important to you, and then the second later some cowboy shoots you in the head.
But a lot of great people coming back. Larry Blakeney, the great Larry Blakeney, is going to be in town, and there's going to be a special program for these guys. And
well, I'm going to go back and say Chan Galey,
Thomas.
He became the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. That's America's team.
That's right.
And anybody that followed sports knew who Chan Galey was. So I'm going to say he's in the running for the most famous person.
Yeah.
I think one error. It was the TV anchor
Douglas Edwards.
Oh
gosh!
From a previous generation, because he was the anchor of the CBS nightly news before Walter Cronkite. So every single American had a TV.
And he actually went to elementary school in Troy. He was born and raised in Troy.
The radio station.
This is Douglas Edwards and the news.
He was he's in the history book. He was the first TV news anchor. That's heavy stuff.
Oh yeah.
So everybody in America in 1955. 58 would know Douglas Edwards.
Yeah.
So Dad in his book said Douglas Edwards was the most famous person to ever come from Troy.
Well,
now you say anybody under the age of 55, They don't know who the heck Douglas
This
But
is
at one
Douglas
time-
Edwards in the news.
You do.
Well, you know, and of course, then right behind him was Walter Cronkite, and everybody knew Walter Cronkite.
That's what I'm saying. He was the Walter Cronkite. He was Walter Cronkite before Walter Cronkite.
All right, you know, on a sad news.
Walter Cronkite succeeded Douglas Edwards.
Well, let's just say this: Walter Cronkite did something on a sad note, but made him a household word across the world. Do you know why that was?
Well, he announced the Kennedy assassination.
Exactly. Wouldn't you say that was one of the biggest announcements ever over radio?
TV.
And
Yep.
TV, I mean, OT. Well, they were doing radio too.
Yep.
But Walter Cronkite, he did the news, and of course that was one of the famous.
Well, I just heard on the CBS News they were talking about, it was yesterday or the day before, that Walter Cronkite debuted as anchor on the CBS Evening News in 1962.
You know, another guy that made
So
it
let
up.
me finish.
All right,
So
okay.
Cronkite succeeded Douglas Edwards. So Douglas Edwards anchored the news on CBS TV at night, every night,
For a long
until
time.
1962.
Yeah. You know, there was another man that gained some fame in the news part of it. Can you tell me who that was?
From Troy?
He was with WSFA, but he made it all the way to the top.
Oh, yeah.
What was his name? He died while he was
Well, there was an ABC News reporter that grew up in Montgomery. That's not who you're talking about, though.
But he worked with Montgomery WSFA, and he made it all the way though
To the top?
To the top, yeah.
I can't think of him. I mean, Bob Howell had the talent to probably do it.
But he didn't make it. But who was that guy? What's his name?
Was he a cameraman or
No, he was on the anchor. He was a big time TV news guy. What was his name? But we'll get back to that.
We'll research it and get back to you
Of
later.
course, as we mentioned, Chan Galey's going to be back. Larry Blakeney's going to be back.
Who else?
Freddie Thomas is going to be back,
Yeah.
former All-American, and then of course we've got two or three other former coaches and players.
In the receiver from Eufaula going to be
Yeah,
back?
he'll be there, and he's was a great player, and but we'll go. In fact, it's going to all start.
I want to go and see
then-
some of those guys and shake their hands and get their autographs. And
Well, we're going to get more information on them. Go ahead.
Guten Morgen.
Morning.
Mike Amos calling in from Graydon Beach, Florida this morning. How's it look down there, Mike?
The sun's out. It's a little chilly. Not as cold as where y'all are. I think it's like 43 in Troy.
Yeah, that's
It's like
right.
55 down here this morning. I told my wife, I was like, we might have to throw a jacket on the girls getting out the door.
Yeah, I know it.
They're having a big snowstorm in a couple of states in America.
Yeah.
Here at the end of April.
Good morning, Mary Prater and Millie. Good morning.
Mary Prater's out the door. That's Millie.
And she's on her way to school.
Yeah.
And you know, it's sort of sad though, Mike. She's just a little girl, and she goes to a huge school there, doesn't she?
Yeah, Dune Lake Elementary. That's about 960 kids. But Butler Elementary at the start of 30A coming from Sandestin has 975.
Oh gosh.
You know, you could do a tour of homes for a charity and just make it on College Street and just do the homes, the prettiest homes, and then the homes where famous people live.
Yeah.
I mean, this Bubba Trotman, Emery Farmer, the Bashinskis, the Lay's potato chip people, the Liberty National Insurance
That's right.
people. But you could also put Chan Galey he lived on the corner of College and Murphy Street. He lived diagonally across the street from my grandmother Lucy Rice.
And I don't know.
And he was always very, very nice to my grandmother, which helps.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
nice.
Mike, tell us what you know about Chan Galey.
What is it coming coming on the show or something?
No,
Well,
but we might be talking to him tomorrow. But he's going to be in Troy this weekend. You know that, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, I grew up with his son Tate. We were best friends and pretty much inseparable. Of course, it broke my heart. I cried like a baby when he left Troy and took the job with the Denver Broncos. He had a little brother named Andrew, Tate did, and then his wife Nancy. But this sweet family, huge member of First Baptist Church when Coach Galey was here as well.
I want to say he was a deacon in the church.
Yeah.
Not many head coaches. Not many head coaches have done that.
Wasn't he doing teach Sunday school?
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
I remember in high school, I think my junior or senior year, Coach Jeffcoat had Coach Galey come back and speak at our football banquet as well.
Yeah.
So him and Jay Jeffcoat, Coach Galey and Jeffcoat were super close throughout the years too.
They sure were. You know, that tandem of Chan Galey and Rick Rhodes and Jay Jeffcoat and Robert Maddox. Those were four outstanding individuals, ladies and gentlemen, who went through Troy University.
You know who brought Coach Galey to Troy, though? Charlie Bradshaw.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Tell us about that. I didn't know that.
He
Oh,
coached
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
He coached as a secondary coach.
Yeah, that's right.
He brought him in. He was his first coaching job, and Coach Bradshaw found him in Florida right out of. And then he coached at Troy a couple of years. Then I think he went to Air Force or something.
Yeah, they went to Air Force Academy.
But he made such a great impression on everybody that when Coach Bradshaw was asked to leave, that they brought Chan Galey back to replace him.
All right. Well, let me say. All right. Was he here and then went to the Air Force Academy, Mike? Is that what happened?
Yeah, he went to coach with Fisher to Berry.
Yeah. Okay. With Fisher to Berry.
But then when he left Troy, he went back to the Air Force Academy. I think I might have the timeline. Maybe he was on Coach Bradshaw's staff.
When he left Troy, he went to the Broncos as assistant coach.
That's right. Yeah.
Dan Reeves, because I'll never forget. I got a huge.
That's right.
I wish I still had it. Life-size, like full-length poster of John Elway autographed and signed from the Galeys.
Yeah, that's right. It would have been really worth something today. No question about it.
I got all this other stuff sent from throughout the years. You know, that's when they went on that Super Bowl run. They couldn't ever win the Super Bowl.
And let me tell you something. This is a football coach that's looking back at one of his son's best buddies, and he knew that when he left, his son's was brokenhearted, and he did something to cure that every year for a long time.
I'll tell you a story
He sent you something for years to come, didn't he, Mike?
When I had the Troy Simpson, Andy Murphy wrote a lot of good stories for us, and usually sports stories. And when Coach Galey was named the head coach at the Dallas Cowboys, I said, Andy, call up the Cowboys and see if you can do an interview with Coach Galey. You know, I know he's super busy, and ESPN and Sports Illustrated want him. Well,
Troy Messenger. Wait a minute, who is that? Troy Messenger, but Chan Galey knew it, didn't he?
Yes, he called him, and right away, Andy Murphy got an exclusive interview story with the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. So he remembered his people and where he was from. And
exactly right. And we'll talk about things like that when he gets here. You know, he's going to be.
I learned then after Tate left to never become friends with a coach's son again.
That's right.
Because all they were going to do is leave you.
Yeah. Well, give us tell us a little bit about that then. Who was some of them that came through here?
I mean, Bobby Rhodes and I were good friends.
Yes, sir. He lived in our neighborhood. Yeah.
Yeah, he had a little brother named John.
You know, John, out of all you boys,
Coach Blaney brought Kelly Taylor, one of my good friends, and
well, then he was the anomaly of the anomaly because he stayed at one school for 25 years.
And let me tell you this, premium years. I tell you what, think about what Larry Blakeney did and what he brought to the table. Every time he'd bring somebody else in, well, gosh, you remember this guy? You remember that guy? He was an All-American at Auburn. You remember that guy was the first team All? He brought a lot of well-to-do people
except for Paul Bryant or Suge Jordan, you don't see coaches that stay for 25 years at one school. You know who else did it? Don Maestri.
Yeah,
longer than
that's
that,
right.
probably.
And we'll try to.
Yeah, other than Blakeney and Maestri, I mean, those are two coaches that didn't really have any kind of connection to the school. If you look back in football, I guess Bradshaw didn't have any connection to Troy, but Galey had coached at Troy, Rhodes had coached at Troy before he got the head job, Robert Maddox coached at Troy before he got the head job, Coach Blakeney had no Troy ties, and then later on, even you go back to Neil Brown. Neil Brown had coached at Troy, Chip Lindsey coached at Troy in 1 year.
Summerall
coached at Troy for 3 years. I mean, there's usually a connection when you get a job.
That's a good point.
Exactly right. No question. Coach Blakeney, I'm going to get him on the phone maybe as early as tomorrow and talk a little bit about, his reign as a head football coach of
Let me talk about
25 years.
It's funny, Michael's best friend was the son of the head football
That's
coach
right.
at Troy. My best friend, Charles Bradshaw, was the son of the head football coach at Troy University.
That's right.
And I thought about it because I know the Bradshaws so well, especially Martha, that coaches, like Michael said, they move all the time. Well, Charles moved to Troy in 6th grade, and his daddy got asked to leave after the infamous front porch incident in the 12th grade. But Charles got 6 years in Troy.
Yeah.
So he got to grow up and have friends and graduate from high school and stay in one place.
Yeah.
That was a big deal for him.
Well, people say, how did your subdivision, how did it become Crow Hill? Well, I'll tell you how. A lot of the mail that would be coming to North George Wallace Drive in Troy.
The name of the road is North George
When
Wallace.
it got to the top of the hill, nobody knew where certain people lived. So Miss Martha Bradshaw started sending them back down to my address, and she'd put on the letter that says Crow Hill, she said, look, just mail it to Crow Hill and we'll get it. Crow Hill. And sure enough, we started getting our mail, or Martha Bradshaw started getting her mail, Crow Hill. Well, now the highest known is Crow Hill.
Isn't that funny? That everybody in Troy calls it Crow Hill, and it all came from Martha Bradshaw.
Right.
That lived on
Crow Hill
at the Jones house.
And she wanted to make sure she got her mail, and most of the time it went by address Crow Hill. pretty interesting. Of course, Mike.
It's a pretty steep. I would say I would like to get where you measure the angle of the road. Crow Hill is almost as steep as Thrill Hill, Pine Street Hill.
Yeah, it is, but it doesn't come straight down. I wrote give me a second here on this. I wrote a column. I wrote something up in my telephone, on my internet or whatever.
Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook, and I've lost it. I haven't found it. But I wrote an article about Winley Wade Tatum.
Good.
Winley Wade Tatum. I haven't seen it though yet. I've lost it. It's somewhere in my computer or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But I wrote a pretty good article on that, and talking about Winley Wade Tatum. Now, hear this. How many of you folks have been down Thrill Hill in Troy, or do you know where Thrill Hill is? Well, believe it or not, it is a well-known place in Troy that people that are just moving to Troy go enjoy the ride of Thrill Hill, which is Pine Street, running Pine Street, running over to.
What's unique about it is it's straight, and you can go straight down and then straight up, so it's like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
It's a dip, and you can get top speed, and you get some G-forces when you go back up.
Of course, up to the top, you go through Maple Street, then you go through Orange Street, and then Fairview Street. Those are the streets.
And I'll tell you something, people don't realize it, but Thrill Hill keeps going up as it passes Murphy, where your wife grew up.
That's right.
And it goes to College Street.
And then that's called Pine Street. Then of course.
But the Thrill Hill, the hill starts at about College Street.
Yeah.
And starts going down, but you can't keep roaring down it because there's a stop sign at Murphy.
All right, but probably pretty much the tip top would be
College Street, really.
Yeah. Well, College Street on one side, and then
the other side would be Orange Street.
Orange Street, and let's just say this: this guy took a pair of roller skates and started at Orange Street, and went down the hill, and then pretty much its momentum took it about halfway up the other side. He rode a pair of roller skates down Thrill Hill. Now, if you get a chance one day before long, feel how sharp that hill was.
And he didn't. I guarantee he didn't have any knee pads on or football helmets.
No, and he's the only person. My brother told me this. My older brother, who's 12 years older,
people have said it.
Told me over the years that the Daredevil, and they said that Winley Wade Tatum was sort of the Daredevil back then. Back then.
He must have been scared to death, but he couldn't fall. If he fell, he'd been in an emergency room.
But he was the he was the Steve McQueen of the early 50s or late 50s and early 60s. And so he rode those skates all the way down.
That story is semi-legendary because I've heard it many times. Yeah. It's like Paul Bear Bryant in Fordyce, Arkansas, wrestling the bear that came to town.
And Winley Wade Tatum was quite a guy, and he loved Troy, Alabama. Gosh, nobody loved Troy. And and let me tell you, Rice, I thought about your dad and other people that are really conscious of the history of Pike County, history of Troy. We try to get into it a little bit. But Winley Wade, when he died, we lost quite a bit of history. Cause he did you know he was real involved with the history of Pike County and especially Troy and
I wish I could have interviewed him about that, some of his exploits, and especially, and he could confirm if he did that, which I'm sure he did. He roller skated down Thrill Hill.
Well, let me tell you.
And now nobody else try that, please. I mean, I never would even try to ride a bicycle.
No. When I ride a bicycle, and I used to ride a bicycle down it.
That would be too scary.
But then those front wheels would doing like this, down the hill. But I've ridden several times bike down Thrill Hill, but not a pair of roller skates.
Did you pick up top speed going down?
Yeah. Oh yeah. But we could. I've done it many times. As a kid.
You probably didn't get up enough momentum to make it all the way back up.
No, you're right. And I didn't enjoy what I didn't do it unless I had to do it. When it was the quickest way over to Pine Street, I'd ride my bike. But it was quite a steep hill, and still is.
Well, if you got a bike from the top of Crow Hill, and went down to Elm Street Road, you were going to be flying,
you'd be moving.
We rode skateboards down Crow Hill all the time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, y'all did. And I would say if y'all had an individual in your neighborhood that was not afraid to do things, Paul Outlaw was not afraid to do things, was it? Isn't that right?
Paul Outlaw was fearless when it came to the skateboard. He was doing the quarter pipe ramp.
See, and we had that.
His dad built the quarter pipe that was about 15 feet high.
I know it. That's right. But and Paul Outlaw was sort of the not right. With some dangerous people. They were not scared. I mean, everybody in the neighborhood could do like the wheelies on the bike. Daniel Wilson could do a wheelie on a bike about halfway down Crow Hill. Yeah, well, that's pretty smart.
Guys were unbelievable when it came to bikes and jumping ramps and stuff like that.
Yeah, I remember that.
Skateboarding was real big when I was growing up.
Yeah.
The thing, I never liked them because I fell a couple of times. But I remember growing up in Opelika before I moved to Troy, in a little street called Windmill Drive, and there was one kid at the end of the street that was Rush's age, older kid, but he had a 10-speed bike. That kid, he would ride on a 10-speed, he would do a wheelie on a 10-speed bike whole length of the damn Windmill Drive.
That's scary.
I mean, all the parents would come out and just look at him and all of them.
Well, I had a 4-speed bike. We call it an English bike back then. And,
4-speed?
Yeah, a little
I've heard of a
4-speed.
3-speed.
Well, it might have been a 3-speed, but I got it for Christmas, and and enjoyed riding it until one day I was riding down the hill. And I hate to say this, this is one of the worst moments of my life growing up, but it happened. It happened, and I'm going to tell you. I was riding down Fairview Street one afternoon, and I was waving to some guys over to the left. I was coasting along, going pretty fast, and I waved at these guys, and in a minute, bang!
Oh, God.
Hey, I ran into the back side of this lady's car that was parked there because I was busy looking back at my friends. And you know what? It bent that English bike in double. It bent it double. Well, yeah, I did. And Jimmy Williams, a guy that was much older than me, he was 5 years older than me at least, or 6 years. He played football at Alabama. Did you know that? Yeah. Have you ever heard of Jimmy Williams?
Yeah.
Played quarterback at high school behind Tom Murphy and behind Bill Rice. And he played. But he walked over and he picked that bike up, and there I am crying. And I was just in probably first or second grade. And he carried the bike up the hill, and he said, "Mike, I don't believe we can fix this bike." So here I go, bringing that bike down to show my daddy, and sure enough, like I had a automobile sit in that lot for my driveway for a little while, and now a bicycle gonna sit there, and I'm gonna just
you weren't
look at
worried about being hurt. You were worried about your bicycle being broken.
Yeah, and having a bike.
Worried about what his daddy was gonna do.
Yeah, that's right.
Let me tell my bicycle story.
Hey, I'm sure he had some real words to tell me. I'm sure.
Trail bike riding was a big thing in the mid '70s, and my brother Rush was talented in a lot of ways, and he could get parts of bikes and put them together, and you use one part of one bike to make another little.
Yeah, I can remember that. Yeah.
And so one day I had one of these makeshift bikes that Rush tinkered on, and we went to the end of Windmill Road to Indian Road, which had just been paved, and it had been a dirt road forever, but now it had asphalt. But there were no houses; it was country, and so it was a great place to ride. And I was maybe 10 years old, and Bobby was riding a bike with me, and I was going down the hill real fast, and I was swerving, and I remember telling Bobby, "Indians are getting ready to get us. Indians are going to get us in the woods."
Yeah.
And I was acting like they were shooting arrows at us.
Yeah.
Well, I lost control of the bike on that little makeshift bike. I don't know if the seat fell off or whatever. I tumbled over the bike.
Oh, God.
Landed right on my head.
I've done that before myself, yeah.
Knocked myself out.
Yeah.
Had a real bad concussion, which if I ever can't remember things, it's probably because of that concussion.
Oh, gosh. I didn't know they knew what it was back then,
And so I had to walk all the way home and then talking to Bobby, and Bobby said I kept asking, "What day is it? Is it summer?" And,
oh, gosh.
And then I walked in, and my mom was having a bridge party or an afternoon cocktail party, and they all screamed, and they took me to the hospital. I spent the night with a concussion. Okay, so that's one of my great concussion stories. Be careful on a bicycle.
Yeah.
Don't fall off and you get a concussion.
That's right.
Well, I was playing summer league baseball at the time, and a couple of days later, I just begged my parents, "I'm okay, I want to play. Well, they let me play. And I still have a big old knot on my head. Yeah. Well, I'm playing the Sonics. Isn't that funny you remember? And we're playing the pitcher that can throw the ball harder than anybody in the league. And I'm batting.
Yeah.
Sure enough. First pitch, bonk, right in the helmet where I just had a concussion. Yeah. Thank God for a baseball helmet.
You mean y'all actually had a helmet, but I had to wear the ones that would stretch out.
Thank God. It was a good helmet.
Do you remember the helmet that would stretch out and stick it on? That's the only helmet we had.
So I didn't think, it didn't hurt. I just went to first base and, I get back to the dugout. That baseball helmet has a big hole in it. I mean, that guy, even at 10 or 11 years old, that guy had... after I had my concussion.
Right. So let me ask you this, and ladies and gentlemen, I know you think we're crazy because we were crazy kids growing up. But have you ever practiced your swing in front of your parents' car?
Probably so.
Have you, and you were watching that, swing in front of my parents' car?
Using it as a mirror?
Yes. Then have you ever swung and hit and busted
Have you done that?
my family's car? But yeah, I was watching myself swing, and I busted the windows on the car, and my daddy. I don't know. He wasn't there at the time, and he was maybe at work or whatever. But hey, what am I going to tell my daddy when it comes on? I was watching myself swing.
The child.
And and yes, sir. And hey, next thing happens is a pretty good spanking. I promise you.
And I'll tell you.
But I was watching myself swing. It was more important than my car broken window.
Here's one story begets another story. Opelika again. I'm with some buddies, and I think they were trying to skip rocks into curves and see if you can hit the curve and then the rock, and they couldn't do it. And I said, here. And so I get a rock, and I skip it like I'm skipping it across the water, and it hits the curve just like I want to, but the dang rock ricochets off the curve, goes up and hits a car that is coming down the road.
Oh, boy.
Shatters their window.
Yeah.
The owners get out. They think I had intentionally thrown the rock at their window.
Yeah.
And so they chew out me. My dad's down the street, and he comes up, and I'm crying. Yeah. I say, here, I had a penny collection. I said, I'll pay for it. Of course,
his daddy's 6'6" and weighs 215 pounds.
I must have told him the story that, no, I just shouldn't have been skipping rocks at the curb, but I wasn't trying to hit the...
Yeah.
But it shattered their window too.
But did you get whippings back then?
I never got one.
Did your dad ever tell you to come in that room because you were fixing
Bobby and Rush did.
You were fixing to have get a whipping?
I saw them get whippings and I didn't want one, so I never did.
Well, people say, no, you mean you whipped that? You mean you whipped that child? You actually whipped that child? Yes. And I tell you what, I can remember the 3 or 4 whippings, real whippings I ever gotten, and I made sure I didn't get any more because those lasted for a long time.
My dad was really he couldn't do it.
Your dad couldn't give y'all a whipping?
No.
That's hard to believe.
But he didn't need to. I mean, if he raised his voice or gave you a look or barked at you, maybe used a choice word, you got the message.
You got the message.
I got both of those. I got whipping. I had to wait for my whipping for Dad to drive all the way back from Montgomery. It was a lot of fun. I had to think about my whipping for hours.
Oh God, you didn't get many whippings. I promise you. You probably.
My God, are you out of your mind?
Wait a minute.
My goodness. I stayed in trouble as a kid growing up.
Oh boy.
I chose to get paddled in hospital. I mean, if we ever were in trouble with Jeffco,
yeah,
I'd much rather get paddled by the coach.
Well, Frank Sadler gave me several. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'd much rather take a couple licks than have to go run.
I think I got 1 or 2 from Coach Jeffco, and then Coach Whitman would give them back. Can you believe it? Even sweet Coach Whitman, if you got in trouble and deserved it.
Yeah.
He had a little paddle in 7th or 8th grade.
And you felt it too.
The principals all growing up had paddles. It was legendary.
Well, let me tell you all this. Listen, I went to Troy Elementary School, and our principal was O.W. Dotson. And let me tell you something. He was a no-nonsense guy. I mean, hey, he had a paddle, and we knew where his paddle was, But you go in his office for paddling, and I got in a fight with Buster Beach one day, a Baptist home kid. Me and I being a city boy, had that fight with that boy. It's scary too because you didn't know how old that Baptist children's home kid was. But we had a fight, and we both went up to Mr. Dotson's office, and he shut that door. And sure enough, he gave me a real spanking with a paddle.
Didn't feel good.
It's not the first one I ever gotten because if you make a mistake back when Frank Sadler or Tom McClendon or Marvin Wiley or any of those guys, or Bob Stevenson. If you ever stepped out of line at Troy Junior High School or Troy Elementary or whatever, you got a pretty good lick with a paddle.
You know, that's dangerous. I've told the story the other day that the A Club initiation, that's the Letterman's Club at Alabama, they had a little hazing ritual for about a week for those Lettermen. Yeah. And part of it was you got these slats, and Dad got one and said it was really rough.
Yeah,
Bart Starr, later in his life, late in life, his wife revealed that the reason Bart Starr didn't play much his senior year or junior year is it had to do with the slats he got as a letter winner that really hurt him.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think who stopped that is Dad always said that they were getting ready to give Pat Tremmel his slats for lettering his sophomore year. And Pat Tremmel said, "Oh, hell no, you're not doing that to me." And they didn't do it to
Pat. That's right. Yeah, he'd fight you in a second.
That tells you about somebody like Pat Tremmel.
The day of the fifth.
We had some big news in baseball last night. The Braves played the Dodgers in Los Angeles, and the Dodgers, of course, have Freddie Freeman now, the legendary Braves player. His first at bat against the Braves last night.
Hit a home run.
He hit a home run.
Did they win the game? Who won the game?
Yeah, the Dodgers won 7-4. But I mean, that just tells you, I mean, what kind of player Freddie Freeman is. His first
and I know
first at bat hits a home run. That's incredible.
Don't you know they just killed a bunch of Atlanta fans? Don't you know they hate because he was their outstanding player.
The Braves are struggling starting off too. They're 5-7 to start the season, so they're not playing great baseball.
Well, we're talking about crazy things happening to all of us growing up.
Well, we're starting talking about Mr. Tatum.
And I hate to share some of the things that I went through or I put myself through, you know.
Who were some of the great other daredevils that did things that were legendary?
Well, I don't know now.
I remember like Bobby's friend Julius Pittman could do like a double or triple flip and would do flips from the natatorium high dive, and he would
really,
and he would do a swan dive from the top of Chimney Rock at Lake Martin.
My brother was.
The daredevils were those crazy high school kids that would go up on that water tower and paint it.
Yeah, I thought that
was the dumbest thing ever growing up.
We never did that because it was scary. I would have never done that, but I got a story on that. Yeah.
It started in, I want to say, class of 77. They did it first, I think. And then 78, 79. And so
tell them what they did.
You know, they would climb up the water tower and paint their class nickname on two sides of the water tower, right there by the fire station. So it was the Clowns of one year, and the Klan, not the Ku Klux Klan, but the CLA, and and so forth. Well, we got to be class of '83, and statute of limitations has expired. I can tell who did it. It was my friend David Floyd said we got to paint it, and then he got my friend Al. And then they got my friend Charles, and they said, I'll get the paint, I'll do it. Fortunately, Bill Rice Jr., as always, I had just sprained my ankle playing basketball, and I was in a cast, and I was on crutches. I could not go up to the water towers, but I was with them. I went down and stayed at the bottom of the fence.
Yeah.
Those guys, Al Curtis, David Floyd, Charles, jumped the fence, took all that gear, and then painted that one. And our nickname, don't laugh, was the Sasquatching Dogs. And so we had to paint the word Sasquatching, which is a lot of letters, twice on two places of it. So they're up there for 45 minutes. And I'm watching them, and they could have fallen.
I tell you, that was scary. And to my knowledge, that's one of the first time I've ever heard of anybody actually doing that. You know.
Well, they get down. Charles gets down. I remember him climbing
Charles
over
was wild. I didn't realize Charles was so wild. That was being wild there.
He had that little Eddie Haskell quality to him that people didn't know about.
Little Eddie Haskell quality, all right. Okay.
But they climb over the fence that has some barbed wire at the top. and Charles cags himself on the barbed wire, and so he falls 10 feet.
Oh, no.
He doesn't even care. He is so happy to be that. He said that's the scariest I've ever been. You could see his face was white. I cannot believe I did that.
Because it sort of blooms out. The water tank blooms out. I'm sure it was pretty tough.
Well, the next morning we were heroes because everybody just said, "Wow, God, they did it." I mean, they did a great job. And
well, did Charles get in trouble?
No, we never got in trouble.
Really?
No, nobody. They never. Yeah. None of those people, all those years. I think it went on to like 1986 or 87. So for probably about 9 years, some crazy fools climbed that water tower and painted their class nickname. Yeah. And it's amazing that nobody died. Yeah. I mean, it was. Thank goodness they stopped it, and somebody would have died.
I want to say Mr. Smart was my older brother Bill, who's 12 years older than me. It was we could have saw that, but he had the same principle that Troy had for many years, and I've never heard many times them doing that kind of daredevil stint, because that was one thing that was scary.
I'm scared of heights. Yeah.
The
water tower is probably.
The big cigar-shaped water tank we got.
The pipe stand.
Hey, man, I wouldn't climb that for anything. And there was people that climbed it, I'm sure.
I was eating at Mama Goldberg's with my family yesterday, and they've got neat placards promoting Troy Fest.
Yeah.
On the tables. And the picture they use is always one that has that water tower.
Yeah, that's right.
The Gillespie building, the Methodist Church, and Bird Drugs. That little slice of Troy.
Yeah, Nall did that.
That really became the signature landmark of.
Of course, Nall. That was Nall's favorite picture.
My mom did it in her paintings too.
And of course, there's been a lot of great artists
kind of
in Troy.
The backdrop for all of the downtown Troy stuff is that a little snapshot of that water tower, the Methodist Church, Uncle Bill's old building.
Surprised more people don't take pictures of College Street, like make a little picture of Troy of College Street. You don't see that much.
It's a beautiful street, and those homes, and there's more and more of these the beautiful old homes have been renovated,
restored,
and gosh, it's really a great, friends coming to Troy. It would be a wonderful place to show them.
Troy University, with these drones and all this footage you can get, above Troy University, that'd be pretty to have.
That's a good idea.
A drone photo of Troy University. I know they've got a few of the stadium.
Well, do it right now with
those look really good too.
The flowers in bloom would be the time to do it. I bet Troy University's as pretty right now as it's going to be.
Exactly right. No question about it. Hope you're enjoying this part of our show.
Everybody call in and tell us the most dangerous thing you've ever done in your life.
We'll be back to more of Today in L.A. after this. Brought to you by Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram trucks on the bypass. We'll be back.
Join us at the Troy Fest Fine Art and Craft Festival in downtown Troy. We have more than 100 vendors with something for everyone. From pottery, photography, glasswork, painting, woodwork, and more. We hope to see you in downtown Troy. Open Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 4. Please come and enjoy a good time and celebrate the arts. Troy Fest Fine Art and Craft Festival in downtown Troy.
The all-new Troy Regional Women's Diagnostic Center brings all of the latest and advanced 3D mammography and breast ultrasound services to the Troy area in our all-new outpatient facility. Dr. Lauren Thorington, along with our team of certified breast specialists, read your mammograms, which are performed by our registered radiologic technologists, bringing the best in women's health care to the Troy area. Troy Regional Women's Diagnostic Center.
I wish you could taste how much better food tastes when cooked on a Green Mountain grill. But I can let you in on the reason that's true. Our pellets contain water, so they create steam while you cook, keeping your food moist. Does a gas or charcoal grill do that? I think not.
and see us at Southern Grill and Patio just off the square in Troy.
It's Ford Truck Month. America, you know what to do. Now's the time to get after the best deals on Ford F-Series, America's best-selling trucks, 45 years straight. Also, great offers on Ford Ranger and the new Ford Maverick. Ford Truck Month is here, so let's get after it. Get 0 for 60 plus up to $1,000 bonus cash plus a no-charge 3-year Ford Protects premium maintenance plan on F-150.
It has flashbacks over the championship game. Back to our show brought to you by Southeast Gas, and of course located in downtown Troy, and had numerous offices across the
Troy,
area.
when Clem hit that field goal, Troy beat North Dakota State, didn't they?
Yeah, it was something like this right here, and this is where it went. Okay, Troy's got the ball, and
it was do or die.
Yeah, and there was less than a minute left to play, and
how did they move down the field? They don't even pass the ball. They were running.
I know, that's right. And Turk was hurt, and we went back to the original starter.
I think it was a pretty good drive. I don't think it was like a drive.
That's right. But right at the last, it got dramatic, Mike. Of course, so they
didn't have to pass every down. In other words, they could still run it.
But the quarterback, Mike, was Kerry Christensen. He had replaced Turk, who had gotten hurt in the game, and he was, of course, he was the original starter at the start of the season. He got hurt, so they put him in there, Kerry Christensen, and of course there was just a few seconds left to go in the game, and Troy moved the ball down to the. I want to say it was about the 35-yard line or 40-yard line.
Well, how was a 51-yard field goal, wasn't it?
It was officially a 50-yard field goal.
Well, they got to the 33 then.
Yeah, and they got it down, and with no timeouts left, and of course we got the first down. That stopped the clock to change right there with the. And then the dramatics came, and of course with 15 seconds left, and they were trying to get their kicking team onto the field, the field goal kicking team onto the field.
Yeah, Lee Hollingsworth was the.
Lee Hollingsworth was
a holder.
Do you know who snapped it back?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. Galey could tell you.
Yeah, but.
They did a great job.
And it was like this, and it was as dramatic as you could get. We're talking about 5 seconds left. They're trying to get the kickoff. 4 seconds left. 3 seconds left. Snap back, touchdown. The kick is up. It is high enough. It is far enough. It is good. It is good. Troy wins the national championship on a Ted Clem 50-yard field goal.
I'm gonna tell you
something. It happened sort of like that.
Was a very large kicker. Ted Clem was probably like 6'4".
Yeah, he was tall. Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you that I have watched college football my whole life. I do not remember a college football game for a national championship ending on a 50-yard field goal as time expired. So it could not have been more dramatic.
Yeah. And the whole key was the key was how he was able to get his kicking team. With 15 seconds left, the clock is moving. He's trying to get his kicking team on the field. Will he get it off?
It's exactly like the Van Tiffin field goal kick that beat Auburn.
Yeah.
But that was just to beat a rival, one game. Right. This was for the national championship of football, and the school that had never won a national championship.
That's right, and the clock is ticking away with 8 seconds left, 5 seconds left, 3 seconds left, snap back, touchdown. The kick is up, and of course the kick was up. The buzz.
Literally 5 miles from Mexico too.
Yeah, and of course the horn went off while he was.
Y'all were there. Did y'all think when he hit it? Did you think that field goal was good?
Oh yeah. It was. Let me tell you something. It could have been good from 60 yards easy. He got all of it, and the first.
Back then the uprights were longer too. You had more chance of making a field goal. They've tightened the uprights.
I don't know about that.
They were wider.
I don't believe that.
A lot wider. back then. They were wider when Van Tippen made that kick too.
I don't know if I can.
That's true. That is true.
Mike,
They shortened them later on.
I don't know if I can remember when they moved it back, but let's just say this: it was long enough, it was far enough, it was good, and the game was being brought to this part of the country.
Al Roberts had doping covered the game.
But CBS, it was a CBS link. I don't know how many people were able to watch it, but Ted Clem was a freshman, a pure freshman from Georgiana, Alabama. A great kid, and everything. And of course, he had never. Here he was. He's a freshman kicking a field goal.
Ted Clem in the Troy Hall of Fame yet?
I don't know, but he was a great kicker
on that one kick. You're right.
But Kerry,
he kicked the rest of. He kicked for 4 years at Troy.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you another thing. Our quarterback does not get near the
Christensen.
Yeah,
he
that was
the attention he deserved.
He should have. He didn't. He didn't get near the attention that he deserved. But he led them to the down the field. And
well, let's try to. You get Chan Galey, and let's just spend 10 minutes talking about his memories of that game and that drive.
And of course, it had to be the
poise, clutch. I mean, it's probably a situation where they didn't have time to get nervous. They just had to go out there and do it.
I'll tell you this: I don't believe Chan Galey has ever been a part of as dramatic a kick in the history of his coaching. And he's been through a lot over the years as a head coach at Dallas and a head coach at.
Well, you know what? I hate to say it, but if Ted Clem had missed that field goal, Troy's just another runner-up for a national championship.
Yeah, that's right.
No, and nobody remembers the runner-up.
That's right.
I hate to say it. And so we go Division I based on we got this great tradition of winning all these national championships. So if Troy doesn't win that national championship, they probably don't win the one a couple of years later because that helped build on that. So maybe Troy doesn't even go Division I.
In '87, Turk came back and was the star of the show. And in fact, they should have brought him back. I think a lot of people could have interviewed him, but Turk was a great quarterback, and all he did to win the championship as a quarterback, he rushed for 190 yards and 3 touchdowns. And he's just a great player. The best wishbone quarterback I think that's ever lived was Mike Turk. If you really look at what he did,
I'd like to watch some old films.
No huddle wishbone. It was a no huddle wishbone, and hey, they won 2 national championships with it. And that Jay Jeffcoat, believe it or not, Jay Jeffcoat.
I've got Chan Galey's career if you want to hear it.
All right, let's hear about Chan Galey, former quarterback, and
he was a quarterback at Florida.
I know the former head coach at Troy.
Yeah, he was born in Gainesville, Georgia. He's in 1952, so he's 70 years old. High school he played at Americus, Georgia. College, Florida. Career started as a graduate assistant in Florida from 74 to 75. Went to Troy State, coached defensive backs from 76 to 78. So I guess he was there 76, 77, 78.
So he was there for 3 years under Coach Bradshaw.
Yeah.
Air Force Academy defensive back coach from 79 to 80. Then he became the defensive coordinator. I don't remember Chan being a defensive background, but I guess he did. Became the defense coordinator at Air Force from 81 to 82. Got the Troy State head coaching job from 83 to 84. Then left after the 84 national championship to become the tight ends coach and special teams coach for the Broncos from 1985 to 1986.
And of course, it was his good friend Dan Reeves.
Mm-hmm. From his hometown, right?
Then in 87, he stayed with the Broncos and became the wide receivers tight ends coach. After that, in 1988, became the quarterbacks coach. 89 to 1990, he became the offense coordinator and wide receivers coach. And then he became his first head coaching job in a pro league, the Birmingham Fire, from 91 to 92 as the head coach. That league folded. He became the head coach of Stanford for 1 year in 1993. After that, he was with the Pittsburgh Steelers from 94 to 95 as a wide receivers coach. Offense coordinator with the Pittsburgh Steelers from 1996 to 1997. Dallas Cowboys head coach from 1998 to 1999. It's only 2 years as the head coach of the Cowboys. Miami Dolphins offense coordinator from 2000 to 2001. Georgia Tech head football coach from 2002 to 2007. Kansas City Chiefs offense coordinator from 2008. Buffalo Bills head coach from 2010 to 2012. New York Jets offense coordinator from 2015 to 2016. And then he basically did coach for 4 years and then became the Miami Dolphins offense coordinator in 2020.
Isn't that unbelievable? Unreal. You're talking about a career coach. He was a career coach. Unreal.
So in the NFL, Galey was 34 and 46 as a head coach. In college football, he was 68 and 41. And in the World Football League, he was 12 and 7. So altogether, he won about 100 some games.
Okay, yeah.
10.
So how many teams was he coached at? Probably about 15. What a
career!
He went to the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame in 2018. Troy University Sports Hall of Fame in 2013.
Boy, oh boy, what a career!
So he was at Florida, Troy State, Air Force, back at Troy State with the Broncos for several years, in the Fire, Stanford, Pittsburgh, Dallas, Miami, Georgia Tech, Kansas City, Buffalo, New York, Miami. So I mean, at least 10 or 11 different places.
I got 14.
Boy, you talking about your best friend? He sure did move around a lot, didn't he?
Oh, Tate. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think he coaches now somewhere in Georgia, doesn't he?
I don't know. I'm not sure. That'd be a great question to find out what the boys are doing.
Yeah.
Well, he made a lot of money doing that. I mean, just to be an assistant coach in the NFL, you're going to get well paid, and he was a head coach for the Cowboys. He would have made millions of dollars.
And you look at Rick Rhodes. I believe Rick Rhodes probably coached more places than Chan coached. Rick
Nobody
Rhodes
coached more places than Rick Rhodes.
I mean, he coached many different places. And I tell you what, both of them were outstanding coaches.
Yeah.
Of course, they were best friends, and a lot of people. Let me just say this: a long list of people wanted Jim Tompkins to be the next football coach. Either the athletic director, everybody wanted Jim Tompkins, and one man went out on the limb to hire this young defensive coach at the Air Force Academy. Where did he come from? Air Force, Mike, or the?
Well, he'd been at Troy, but he was at Air
Force.
At
Air Force. At Air Force, you're right. And
he was a defense coordinator at Air Force. That's not a bad hire.
But see, Jim Tompkins was an outstanding defensive coordinator at Troy, and most everybody knew that he was going to get that job.
He'd been a successful coach at Charles Henderson.
I'll tell you what, Dr. Doug Hawkins, the veterinarian, was the guy that really, he just happened to be chairman of the board of trustees, and he said, hey, I want this guy right here. I want him to be a member of our church, and I want this guy right here to be the next head football coach at Troy. Sure enough, he became the next head coach at Troy. And, of course, Jim Tompkins coached with Chan for a little ways, and then he moved off to an outstanding career.
I think in 1998, his first year as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, you got to remember Troy Aikman was the quarterback, and Michael Irwin and Amos Smith were still there. For the Cowboys, he went 10-6 his first.
That's pretty good, isn't it?
In the NFL, yeah.
That's really pretty good, no question about it.
He went to the playoffs both years, but both times he lost the first round in the playoffs.
That's what I thought. He did better than people that have come since him did.
Was Jerry the owner at the time, Mike?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jerry Jones hired him.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing? But
Dr. Hawkins, talking about Dr. Hawkins was instrumental in hiring Chan Galey as head coach, and also Larry Blakeney.
He hired Larry Blakeney. I guarantee
so
Dr. Doug
Hawkins, he is an influential fellow.
The veterinarian who was a graduate of Auburn University.
And he was one of the movers and shakers behind going Division I with Mr. Beard.
That's right. He was our contact on the board of directors, the board of trustees to go Division I, and sure enough, we went Division I. Dr. Doug Hawkins, hey, you could write a book about what all the great things he did to help Troy University be where it is today. Dr. Doug Hawkins, the veterinarian.
And his son became a veterinarian, and now his grandson is doing the same thing.
And I tell you what, he's a great man, great Troy person. And
you talk about some of the crazy things I did growing up. I did a lot of them with Robert Hawkins.
Was he your age too?
Yes. All my fun beach trips to Panama City Beach were Robert, and cause his daddy had they had later had a fine beach house, but they just had a little beach cottage when we went down there. It was big Robert and me and Chuck Norris, and we had some fun.
I bet you did.
I can't talk about beach trips on this show.
Oh gosh! But I tell you what, though, going from back to Galey, what an outstanding coach he's been, and what an inspiration he's been to so many people. He was I wasn't joking when I said he was the first football coach that ever became a deacon in the First Baptist Church, and he was a full-fledged deacon in the First Baptist Church. And when he left,
well, we were so blessed to have Coach Galey, and then Coach Atkins, doesn't get enough credit as far as I'm concerned.
Great. Well, he gets a pretty lot of credit.
I know it, but he needs more.
We would not be anywhere.
Troy had no athletic real tradition before he came.
That's right.
In any sport. And, well, I guess Coach Archer had some good basketball teams, and
we had it
was so-so. It was
we had good basketball teams and some good baseball teams too, but
not elite or national championship caliber.
And gosh, the history of Troy would be full of stories to tell about these young coaches that came to Troy and made a name for themselves. Wouldn't you say?
Well, I guess
I was wrong about Troy in the North Dakota State. The final series started with Troy with only 1:30 remaining, and it started at Troy's own 10-yard line. So Troy did have to put together a 2-minute drive to get down there and fix those.
It was North Dakota State.
How did they do that? Because when you watch
it's the title game between Troy and North Dakota State proved to be a good one. It's the number 3 ranked team versus number 1 ranked team. The game was shown nationally. It says on ESPN. I don't remember that. The game was close throughout, with both teams playing good defense, a low-scoring affair. Troy State trailed 17-15 late in the contest with 1:30 remaining in the game. Terry Christian returned to lead the Trojans on the final drive to try and win the game, starting at his own 10-yard line. Troy State eventually reached the North Dakota State 32-yard line with the clock running and the Trojans out of timeouts. The Trojans, the freshman kicker, Ted Clem, took the field with 8 seconds remaining on the clock as it was ticking down. Just as time was about to expire, the Trojans got the snap off, and Ted Clem hit a 50-yard field goal to give Troy the lead and the win over North Dakota State.
And you know something? Let me tell you something about that kick. Troy practiced kick every practice that it went through during the season, and they knew exactly what to do. They have enough time to do it, and they had worked on that, and now they had to use it.
They worked on it.
And it worked on them.
Alabama worked on it. All teams must work on it, and then. It came in handy when Van Tiffen had to rush on the field and kick that ball against Auburn.
And in fact, Clem, kicked it through, and just a marvelous kick. It been good, like I said, from 60 yards out. But don't you know that he didn't have time to think. everything went that fast. With 15 seconds left.
He didn't then, but on the sidelines, he must have known that. Oh my gosh, I might have to go in and.
Yeah.
But you're right. I think when it happens, they just rush out there, and that's probably a good thing.
And I was wondering, like now you're on TV and you're constantly focusing on the kicker coming in and kicking the field goal. Well,
and then they called 3 timeouts to ice him and.
Yeah, but I don't think this happened here. There was no timeouts.
You remember? Let's compare it. You remember the poor kicker from Montgomery that Alabama's playing Georgia for the national championship. Alabama comes back and owns the second half when Tua comes in the game. Yeah. Alabama gets down to sets up a chip shot field goal from about 38 yards, middle of the field, to win the game in regulation. And that kicker, not only did he miss it, I mean, he shanked it so bad.
Yeah.
So that's why the game went into overtime. It really shouldn't have even gone into overtime.
I'll give you a couple other. Do you remember number 1? This guy wore number 1. I don't know if anybody can remember him. He was a great wide receiver. Wore number 1 for Alabama. And Alabama,
Al Bell, cool
Al Bell. Al Bell, you're exactly right.
Cool Al Bell.
Al Bell came in and they scored right at the last to win the game.
Mike Shula took him down the field.
You remember that?
Yes, that was a great win.
But I can
ugly game all day long, and then Georgia takes the lead late, and darn if Hula with Shula doesn't drive us straight down the field, and Cool Al Bell catches the touchdown for the
another bad thought in Alabama history was in the it was a bowl game played in Texas. Your daddy had played in this bowl game.
The Blue Bonnet Bowl.
Yeah, but it was the Blue Bonnet Bowl, and they had a kicker named Richard Simony.
Oh.
They called him the Cowboy, and he was Alabama's field goal kicker. And he wasn't very good, and sure enough, he had about a 20-yard field goal to win the game in the Blue Bonnet Bowl.
He missed it.
And he missed it wide left. It wasn't even close. He just shanked it. He shanked it. Now, it was a tie. The game turned out to be Texas 3, Alabama 3. And but it would have been a win.
I think that was
Alabama.
Dad played in that game, and here's what
I don't know if he played in that. Did he play in the Richard Simony game? I don't think
I've never heard that Alabama missed the chip shot field. But here's what happened though: is that Alabama had never beat Texas.
Yeah, that's right.
And somebody throws a little looking pass to my dad, and he catches it, and he's off and running, and they chase him down about the 4-yard line.
I think it's Street, the quarterback, made the tackle on
safety, and I always heard that they ran your dad down, and finally on the internet I found the footage of the play, and the guy had an angle on Dad the whole way.
Because your dad could run. Your dad had good speed.
But still, Alabama's down at the 4. They get the ball down to the 1, and they go for the touchdown. Coach Bryant does not go for the tie, and in 2 straight plays, Texas stops Alabama.
Yeah.
Alabama cannot score from the 1. So even with Dad's long run, they didn't score.
But it was a tie game, though.
It was a tie.
Yeah.
So if Dad hadn't gotten caught, it would have been Alabama's first and only victory over Texas until the national championship game of 2009. Alabama finally beat Texas.
Exactly.
Well, I think Alabama hopefully will beat Texas in the second game of the year this coming season.
I can't believe somebody remembered the guy that number 1 that played. It was against Georgia, and Alabama should have won the game, but they missed it. Is that right?
Well, Alabama was.
I
think they were leading the whole game, and then Georgia blocked the punt, or Georgia went ahead very late, and you say, "Oh gosh, Alabama's lost it."
Yeah, Alabama won.
And darn if Mike Shula doesn't drive Alabama straight down the field, buddy, in 2 minutes, and
sure did. Mike Shula was a good quarterback. Was a very good quarterback, and.
The game that Troy played in was called the Palm Bowl. That's where the national championship
That's
game
right,
was
yeah.
played in McAllen, Texas, only for 5 years.
And that day we went all over, that morning we went all over Mexico that morning, I remember.
Yeah, that game was played from 1981 to 1985. After that it moved to Braley Municipal Stadium in Florence.
And it made
the year after Troy, the year after Troy won the national championship, North Dakota State came back and beat North Alabama 35-7.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you this. How many championships is the most dominant football championships in the world was North Dakota State? Tell me how many they won, Mike.
We talked about it before. It's like 17 or something like that.
I mean, they have dominated
Division II and now 1AA.
And then after Troy, they had a pretty long winning streak.
You know,
Well, yeah, they won the national championship after Troy.
And it's also kind of like Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus. If they don't win it, they're playing for it. Yeah. So they could have even won more. Like Troy, they could have won that one against Troy.
All right, Troy Fest is coming up this weekend. This starting on Saturday at 9 o'clock, and it's going to run through Sunday at 4 o'clock. And, of course, if you've never been to a Troy Fest, you need to go. It's a great example of a great community, Troy, Alabama. As Troy Fest is coming to town.
Artwork, crafts. I've got a great Adirondack chair that was homemade by Burt Brown.
Yeah.
You know where I got it?
There.
Troy Fest.
Well, I'm going to tell you this, and we'll be back with more of Today in L.A., and we're going to talk Troy Fest.
17 national championships for North Dakota State.
Oh, boy, that's something.
Join us at the Troy Fest Fine Art and Craft Festival in downtown Troy. We have more than 100 vendors with something for everyone. From pottery, photography, glasswork, painting, woodwork, and more. We hope to see you in downtown Troy. Open Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 4. Please come and enjoy a good time and celebrate the arts. Troy Fest Fine Art and Craft Festival in downtown Troy.
The all-new Troy Regional Women's Diagnostic Center brings all of the latest and advanced 3D mammography and breast ultrasound services to the Troy area in our all-new outpatient facility. Dr. Lauren Thorington, along with our team of certified breast specialists, read your mammograms, which are performed by our registered radiologic technologists, bringing the best in women's health care to the Troy area. Troy Regional Women's Diagnostic Center.
I wish you could taste how much better food tastes when cooked on a Green Mountain grill. But I can let you in on the reason that's true. Our pellets contain water, so they create steam while you cook, keeping your food moist. Does a gas or charcoal grill do that? I think not.
Come and see us at Southern Grill and Patio just off the square in Troy.
It's Ford Truck Month. America, you know what to do. Now's the time to get after the best deals on Ford F-Series, America's best-selling trucks, 45 years straight. Also, great offers on Ford Ranger and the new Ford Maverick. Ford Truck Month is here, so let's get after it. Get 0 for 60 plus up to $1,000 bonus cash plus a no-charge 3-year Ford Protect Premium Maintenance Plan on F-150.
It takes two or three grown men, maybe four grown men to carry it. We were talking about
this furniture that used to be this metal furniture that's so heavy.
And hopefully Hook's Barbecue, which is moving building a barbecue place downtown, will have their place ready to go by Friday. I hope they will, because it is a wonderful barbecue.
There's a lot of neat things happening downtown, and Troy's got a chance to have a destination downtown. Like, you know, the coolest one would be Fairhope or somewhere like that.
Yeah.
But just little quaint shops and restaurants and anything that would drive people off of Highway 231 and get them to want to come to the square or downtown. But some of it's, I mean, why would you have bed and breakfasts so close to downtown? Because there's actually a fair amount to do downtown.
Yeah. Well, you know, I tell you what, I can't believe the the last time I bought something of substantial was some furniture, handmade furniture that a guy was selling on the square during Troy Fest. And at the time, I thought that I was going to get away with it. You know, we walked away. She saw that chair, that it was a love seat. She saw it, and
your wife did, Carol?
Yeah. So we went on home, and I was working in the front yard, And then I watched as a truck was coming up the hill, and it turned in our back driveway. Well, she bought that piece of furniture.
They delivered it?
Yeah, it took 4 men to carry that piece of furniture to my house. And
of course.
And what I'll say though, she wouldn't tell me until actually I had to see for myself.
Well, you let her buy what she wants to. You did.
Well, she will.
Trust me, she does.
He
can't control anything she buys.
Well, I tell you what, you got an artsy mama. I'll tell you that, because she loves the arts and she loves art.
Well, I mean, the Gene Lake Arts Festival, which became Troy Fest, my parents did too, and my dad too. I mean, I grew up going to that arts festival, and Dad especially, he would buy an original piece of art every year, and that artwork has been handed down to children. I have a lot of that artwork, and I'm here to tell y'all folks, I used to sell art myself, and I would tell people, buy nice art, it will last you a lifetime.
That's right.
And that is true.
Yeah, I bought a lot of stuff from you, over the years.
Buy originals if you can, or nice prints.
Yeah.
And heck, not only will you have it the rest of your life, it will be passed down to your kids.
Sure will, no question about it.
I'll tell you one thing about art. It's all in the eyes of the beholder. Because, man, there's a lot of art that I see that I think is not very good. Not very good at all. That people spend thousands of dollars for.
Well, are you walking through the halls of your home? Is that what you're doing? Or
I'm just talking about people in general.
You're right.
It's just amazing what people buy and what people like.
Oh, some of these Van Goghs, that I think look like chicken scratch. They're worth millions of dollars.
I tell you what, the person, Rob Drinkard, needs to be commended over and over. He runs the Troy Fest and does a beautiful job, and of course, along with his wonderful wife.
I'll tell you one artist that came every year was a guy named Bill Hill. That is really good. And I bet I've got 4 Bill Hill originals framed on my walls right now.
Well, there's a lot of people that, like Nall made
Prince.
He made a lot of the art people look good because he liked it, and of course,
Interesting story here out of football. Auburn had a scholarship quarterback named Demetrius Davis. He was out of Texas. And 4-star quarterback, keep in mind, and his transfer destination is Alabama State.
Oh, really? Is that where he's going?
A 4-star recruit out of Texas, one of the most decorated high school quarterbacks in the state's history. You would have thought that this guy might have gone to another Division I program. He's going to Alabama State. That's a big-time get for Alabama.
That's right.
State.
Sure.
You remember the star running back from Georgia that transferred to Alabama State?
Oh, yeah, he played in the pros for several years.
Yeah, had a real good. I mean, he didn't really do a ton at Alabama State. He was good, but then the next thing I saw, he did have like a 4 or 5 year NFL career, and he played at Alabama State.
So it's going to be interesting to see. I wonder if Troy was in the mix for that kid. Troy's down to only 2 scholarship quarterbacks right now.
Yeah, I know it.
I think one.
Of course, First Cahaba Bank, we appreciate all those folks for supporting our show and supporting Troy Fest this coming.
Getting back to art.
This coming Saturday and Sunday.
It's amazing how much original art gets on the auction market.
Yeah.
I read a story that there's an Andy Warhol painting of what's her name, Marilyn Monroe.
Yes.
That you know what it's supposed to get on the auction market?
What?
$500 million.
$500 million?
$500 million is what they're expecting. This one Andy, so it's like she's got pink hair and.
Yeah.
And then Warhol's been dead for 30 years, but can you imagine somebody paying $500 million for a painting?
Mike, what are some of those some of those paintings that your mother used to buy until the still.
You come on Motees.
Yeah, Motees.
That's good.
And then she's got what's the guy riding the bicycle?
The guy down here at the beach.
Yeah, what's his name?
What was it, Wally?
Yeah, that's right. That's his name. But you know who's got some good art and it sells a lot of his art is Wally.
Yeah,
you know that?
Yeah. He's the
Wally
same
is
Motees
very
style,
talented.
Yeah.
We ought to get Wally to come on.
That's called the primitive art style or something.
Yeah, and well, you know, and it's called folk art. And I tell you what, I've seen a lot of his people, you know, have bought his folk art and
I want to say I tried to
beautiful art.
I tried to be an art entrepreneur and make an investment thinking that I was going to get a steal and make one of these big returns. I knew a guy that did business with Bill Battle. When Bill Battle was representing Coach Bryant early when he was trying to manage Coach Bryant's brand and take over his advertising. Late in Coach Bryant's life, right before he died, Daniel Moore did a painting of the 315 victory over Auburn. Yeah. You've seen it. A lot of Alabama fans have seen it. He's on the sidelines holding the thing. And all right, so Daniel Moore does it and makes some prints. Well, Coach Bryant's, by the time Daniel Moore comes out of the print, Coach Bryant doesn't have much time to live. But Bill Battle got some of those prints, and he got Coach Bryant to sign them.
Isn't that amazing?
Not a copy of his signature, but this is a real signature on the print, and there weren't many of them. And Bill Battle must not have known what he had, so he saw this mutual friend of mine. He did some work for Bill Battle, and he said, "Here, you might want this print." This guy's an Auburn fan. He lives in near Mama Goldberg's in Auburn, and he knew I was a big Alabama fan. He said, "Bill, I got this print that you might be interested in." And he gave me the backstory of Bill Battle, gave it to me, and I thought that story's legit. And so I said, "Here you've got the most legendary coach in history, a painting by a famous artist, Daniel Moore, and it's one of the very, very few that he actually signed himself."
And you got that picture?
Well, I did. I spent a lot of money buying it, thinking that I can flip it. You know, but I had some stuff with Coach Bryant's autograph anyway, so I bought it from him, and I just didn't know how to market or sell it. And finally, a couple years ago, I had some estate sale or something, and I sold it for a loss, for less than but I swear, for the life of me, I still think whoever has it right now has something very, very valuable.
Yeah. Mom likes Woody.
Yeah, that's right, Woody's, Yeah,
Santa Rosa Beach.
Yeah.
And she liked Sergey Chilibeer.
Who's the girl?
Here was my analogy. What if
got a lot of Chilibeers?
Yeah.
What if you had a famous painting or picture of Babe Ruth that was signed by Babe Ruth?
Yeah, I know it.
That was the same thing I thought about this.
You know, Scotty Sowers always said this. He said, he'd shake your hand. He said, shake the hand of the man who shook the hand of Babe Ruth. Well, Scotty Sowers had shook the hand of Babe Ruth years ago when the Yankees were playing an exhibition game at Crampton Bowl in Montgomery. Scotty shook his hand. And you can brag about it all the time.
Sometimes he said, "Shake the hand of the man who shook the hand of Joe DiMaggio."
Yeah, that's right.
Dad once shook Joe DiMaggio's hand.
Exactly right.
Yeah, I don't think the handshake's going away. I was at church on Sunday morning. I think I had 10 people come and shake my hand.
Well, that's great. That's great. We hope you've enjoyed our show. Hey, we're full of a lot of things that happened in our life and pass it on to other people. And I hope you enjoyed listening to it or watching us on TV today. We'll see you tomorrow bright and early for Today in L.A.
Join us at the Troy Fest Fine Art and Craft Festival in downtown Troy. We have more than 100 vendors with something for everyone. From pottery, photography, glasswork, painting,